We are going to be comparing and ordering more rational numbers today. We're just going to be using some harder problems as we practice today. So to start, we're going to go ahead and compare all of these numbers. So we notice these are both negative. Negative 1 is here, negative 0.5 is here. So negative 1 is farther to the left. So we remember this side is going to be small and this side is going to have your bigger numbers. So thinking about that, negative 1 is smaller. So here we have 2/3 and 0.75. If we change 2/3 into a decimal, that is 0.66. So that is a benchmark fraction and a nice one to know that 2/3 does equal 0.66. It goes on forever. So looking there, 75 cents is greater than 66 cents. So here we have 0 and we have negative 1/3, which is negative 0.33. If you have 0 pennies or if you have negative 33, that means 0 would be greater. So here we have 1/3 and negative 1/3. They are opposites, but this one is positive, so it's greater. So these are the absolute values. If you'll remember from a few lessons ago, absolute values are always going to be positive. So if we change these, we have 0.5 and 0.75. We're going to add a 0 here to make them easier to compare, and 75 cents is greater. So the absolute value of 2/3 is that it's 2/3 units away from 0, and this one is 0.5 units away from 0. If we remember that 2/3 is 66, and this is only 50, 66 is greater. So even though these have these negatives in front of them, they're the absolute values, so we make them positive. Here we have negative 0.5, negative 0.25. Let's add our 0 here to compare. And so 50 would be negative 50 here. Negative 0.25 is here. This one here is more toward the big side. So even though 50 sounds bigger than 25 cents, we're talking about negatives, so it's actually the opposite. Okay, we've got negative 1 and 1. Those are opposites, but 1 is on the positive side, so 1 is larger. Okay, here we have negative 0.33, so 1/3 is 33 cents, 2/3 is 66 cents. And this one we have to simplify. A negative times a negative always becomes a positive, so we have 0.5, and we'll add that 0 there. So we have 50 cents and negative 33 cents. This one is positive, so it is larger. Okay, here we have 2/3, so 0.66. And here we have an absolute value. So this negative gets canceled out, but this one we keep. So it's negative 2/3. So this problem is asking for the negative of the absolute value. So we get rid of this one, but keep this one. It's different than these ones we're simplifying with the parentheses. Parenthesis means times. These straight up and down lines mean the absolute value. So we cancel that one out, it's gone, but keep this one. So we have 2/3 here, negative 2/3. This one is positive and larger. So here we have 0.33, not 6, 0.33 for 1/3, and a negative times a negative is a positive 0.75. 75 cents is larger than 33 cents. Last one on this page, we have 1/4. We think of fourths like quarters. 1/4 is 25 cents. Negative times negative is a positive 25 cents, and 25 cents are equal. Our last ones we're going to look at are putting things in order from least to greatest. So we have 1/3 is 0.33. We've got 0, negative 0.5, and negative 1/3 is negative 0.33. If we're thinking of this one like 50, negative 50 cents is less than negative 33 cents. So we're going to start with negative 0.5. Then we have negative 1/3. Then we have 0 there. And our largest one on this problem is 1/3. Now looking at our next one, we have a negative 2/3, which is negative 0.66, a 0, a negative 1, and a negative 0.5. So I'm going to add that 0 just to make them all the same. So the one farthest to the left is going to be negative 1. Then we'll have negative 2/3. Then we'll have negative 0.5, and that one will end with 0. So even though 0 is not a large number, it's the biggest out of those because the rest of them are all negatives. Hey, last problem today, we have negative 75.75, 2/3, which is like 0.66. We have 0.5, which is like 0.50, and a negative 0.25. Thinking about them in decimals just kind of makes them easier to compare if you think about them like money. So the least amount of money we would have is negative 75 cents. Then we would have negative 25 cents. Then we would have 50 on the positive side, 0.5, 50 cents on the positive side. And we would end with 2/3 or 0.66. Hey, have a great weekend.